Christina Grimmie was a raging fire that spread across the internet.
Christina got shot. Christina Grimmie. Emergency 911, this is Tabitha. Your call's being recorded.
So we need police to Plaza Live. We have a shooting. We have one down.
What she didn't realize was that with fame, it attracts the dark side.
Are you injured at all, ma'am?
The dark side was Kevin Loibl.
Okay, is she awake?
No, he's performing CPR on her now.
He definitely was out of place.
Loibl didn't have delusions like other seriously mentally ill people do. He had obsessions.
Anybody who puts aluminum foil on his windows of his room, it makes me think that that person is not balanced.
He never made his presence known to Miss Grimmie at all until it was too late.
The only motive that we have is that he wanted to punish her for not paying enough attention to him.
No threats, no warning. He just walked up to her and shot her in the head.
June 10th, 2016. Social media sensation Christina Grimmie is preparing for a concert in Orlando. She's on the cusp of hitting the big time. Albums, awards, fame, and fortune. But just steps away is the man who is about to ensure none of Christina's dreams come true.
Christina Grimmie had been doing a tour. And this was her last stop, called Plaza Live, which was a small venue, a small theater.
Hey guys, what's up? We're in Orlando today. Please come to the show if you live near Orlando, Florida. We are at the Plaza Live. Please come out. Bye.
She didn't know that she was also inviting Kevin Loibl.
Kevin was extremely enamored with Christina Grimmie. He felt that they had some kind of relationship. He was delusional.
She went on tour. She didn't really have the backing of a label. And instead of hiring professionals to be her bodyguard, she just hired her brother.
I'm sure being so young and having these, fans out there, she must have just been on top of the world. There was a group of mostly young girls. And there was an older guy who didn't quite belong there.
They were in the lobby of the theater. There was no protection. No one was standing right next to her for security purposes.
He wasn't like the other fans. When he got to the front of the line, he pulled out the gun. He shot her in the head, and he shot her 3 times in the chest.
Somebody just open the fire at the Plaza Live.
His plan was to go down in history with Christina as the man who killed her.
A chaotic scene is playing out at a small music venue in Orlando. Rising star Christina Grimmie clings to life, where just moments before she was surrounded by laughing, adoring fans. Who is this complete stranger that has decided to wage war on this young pop star before turning the gun on himself? And why? Almost 5 years to the day before Christina is born, the man who will play a pivotal role in her story enters this world. Kevin James Loibl was born March 10, 1989 in St. Petersburg, Florida. He grows up in a home that couldn't be more different than the loving environment of the Grimmie family.
We know that Kevin Loibl had a pretty disorganized and sometimes violent home life. I think it was by elementary school and middle school that the family says he started to withdraw. He lined his bedroom with tinfoil and comforters. He said he had an aversion to light. He spent long, long hours in his bedroom.
In his room, he kept extremely dark. And it's been my experience that people that do that usually have a fear that someone's watching them or trying to communicate with them.
On the surface, the Loibl family appears to live a typical life in St. Petersburg, but Kevin is struggling with isolation.
If we look to Loibl's childhood, there is all kinds of evidence to support disrupted attachments and failures to develop the normal trust and foundation that will enable adult relationships to be successful.
We don't know how his father treated him. We don't know how his brother treated him or anything else, but those are things we need to learn, and this might be one of the major causative factors of why Kevin was so introverted and quiet.
Loibl was described as socially awkward, an oddball. He had no ability to maintain relationships. He was disconnected from everyone.
Loibl works to escape his difficult family life by immersing himself into a world of make-believe.
He would sit in front of his computer and play video games continually over and over again. Apparently, he was extremely good at it.
In a statement to police, Loibl's only friend, Corey Dennington, gives insight into Kevin's online addiction.
He was into a few games. Same game I play is World of Warcraft.
Okay.
This game, me and his brother and him grew up on.
Yeah. The World of Warcraft is a fantasy war game in which you get to take on roles. It's not you. It gets you away from yourself. And the longer you're spending time outside of yourself, it suggests an addictive component to it, certainly, but also indicates that you prefer not to be in your own skin. So this is a man who felt powerless and inadequate in his real world and opted for a fantasy life in which he could be omnipotent, all-powerful, and godlike.
Loibl's violent fantasy life is a dangerous sign that the young man is slipping further and further away from a healthy, productive life.
His computer was his window into his world. Christina Grimmie was part of that world, but for the rest of the world, he didn't want any part of it.
People like Kevin Loibl can easily tip into hate because they don't have any grounding in meaningful interpersonal relationships. So what was once love now becomes, you have to die.
A stark contrast to life in the Loibl home. On March 12, 1994, a girl who will become a self-made star and the object of Loibl's deranged obsession is born.
Christina grew up in New Jersey. It was a traditional home, very religious home, and were, by all reports, a very normal, very close-knit, traditional family.
She was brought up in a very loving and a very good home. She's genuinely probably the most unique person I've ever met. She's very charismatic, very funny. She's one of the most genuine people I've ever met, too.
This closely bound family is the perfect environment to raise a happy, healthy child.
When she was 7 and her teacher would ask her, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said that she wanted to be a waitress. But she was always singing. She had a karaoke machine, which she said was her favorite thing to play around with. And then she thought, like, oh, it'd be so cool if I told everybody, like, no, I want to be a singer.
Christina's interest in music will push her into the spotlight, but will also prove to be her unraveling.
Christina is just so incredible when you see what she was able to accomplish as a teenager from, a small town on her own.
Here is a young woman who was a musical prodigy, discovered at a very young age.
Well, she was this little teeny girl with this great big voice, and she was very personable.
The world will soon know of Christina's talent, but so will the man that makes it his mission to have Christina as his own.
He didn't literally think Christina was his girlfriend, but what he had was an obsession with her and a goal to get her as a girlfriend.
We don't have the evidence of a buildup of other approaches, but clearly there is the classic obsession and fixation and the great lengths that he went to modify himself, where in his own mind he's having some sort of relationship with her that for whatever reason goes sideways.
The guy standing all by himself, that would be the guy I'd be really concerned about.
We don't know what switched for him, what that line was between love and hate, between will he get her as a girlfriend or will he need to kill her?
It's 2009 in small-town New Jersey. A teenaged Christina Grimmie is continuing to explore her love of music, starting a YouTube channel where she showcases her talents for the world to see. There is no way of knowing that her online presence will attract the attention of a man with ill intentions.
YouTube is a completely different medium. We can talk about Justin Bieber. He was a YouTube star before he graduated to the traditional music world. Shawn Mendes, another star, before he graduated to the traditional media world. And this is where we find Christina Grimmie.
I'm gonna sing Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. When it gets to the high notes, I don't really...
Christina was very herself in all her videos. She was in her bedroom with her Legend of Zelda posters in the background, other video game posters just in front of her keyboard. It was just her and her camera.
She was just this fresh face who seemed to be very optimistic, had a tremendous voice, and a lot of the people who made her famous thought, you know what, she's just like me. I like her because she's just like me. She seems down to earth, and she seems to be somebody that could be my friend. That was very important to the development of her career.
I just really want you guys to enjoy my music. I'm really excited for you guys to hear. And oh my goodness, my song was played on the radio today.
Fans start passing around these videos, which is as easy as a click. And that was enough to turn what she was doing into a raging fire that spread across the internet.
The fan groups online really embraced the people they're following. She touched a chord in these people.
There is this huge community of YouTube audiences who find these people online and turn them into giant stars.
Hey guys, I'm gonna be singing Liar Liar by me.
Christina's growing success points to a clear shift in the making of a celebrity and the increasing departure from traditional forms of media like movies and television.
She was very interactive with fans. She was very interactive. You know, she'd tweet them back. She'd interact with someone on Facebook. She would message them back. She'd even tweet out her video game usernames, like on her Wii U. She'd be like, hey guys, this is my username. Add me and I'll play with you. Talking to her always felt like talking to a friend. Even if you didn't know her, she didn't treat people like her fans. She genuinely treated them like her friends.
Her outgoing personality makes people think they know her, even though they don't.
Later, guys. Love you so much.
One of the things that we're seeing now with younger stars is that there is an expectation for engagement with your fans. A lot of these people think that you have established a one-to-one relationship with you. This is the genius and the frightening thing about social media.
Christina continues to attract more and more followers to her YouTube channel. She also attracts the attention of Selena Gomez and her team.
She was doing all these YouTube videos and, you know, widely popular. So they were able to track down her brother, and Selena Gomez's father reached out and said, you know, we want to manage you. You're going to be a big star.
This is a major break for Grimmie. She begins opening for Gomez, and her reach grows by thousands and thousands.
Her tour with Selena Gomez helped get her even more subscribers, more recognition for her music, so that was a big Kickstarter for her.
Christina is working hard to make the most of her opportunities. By April 2013, her channel has more than 375 million views and over 2 million subscribers.
A lot of people that are interested in making this their career, getting their name out there, the more fans you have, the more followers that you have, these bigger brands come to you, or these people, you know, with acting or record deals, they want the people that have already developed their fan base.
Take Christina Grimmie, right, who really beautifully utilized the tools that we have now. You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get a record deal, it was this whole thing, it wasn't available to anyone. But now we have the internet, where anybody who's talented can upload a video, and it can get attention, and you can have an entire career.
With the massive success of her YouTube channel, Christina and her family packs up and moves to LA.
They were reluctant to let her move to LA to further her career, but they let her go. Very supportive of her. I think somewhat surprised by the popularity on YouTube.
While Christina's life is essentially one success after another, in Florida, a troubled young man is struggling to keep his head above water.
And he would even tell me, you're lucky, I envy you, you know, you've got all this family, and I could have had it worse, but I just don't have, I don't believe that I had as much a loving family as you did.
He had problems with his mother, a great deal of problems. She committed suicide. She was also abusive to Kevin and his brother.
His mom, like broke his brother's arm, I guess maybe like shaking him too hard, threw like dishes at them, and I think one of the plates broke across on the wall and cut Kevin's arm. He used to say, "My mom tried panning me," meaning a frying pan, and beat him with it.
Loibl lost his mom to this accidental aspirin overdose or possible suicide when he was about age 21.
He ended up telling her, "Do it. Go ahead, do it." I think he held that regret for this whole time. And he just recently, within the last year, told me about that he encouraged her.
In Loibl's case, perhaps when his mother committed suicide, that may have presented an opportunity to make sure he was getting substantial intervention, if for no other reason than to monitor what is he thinking about, how is he making sense, of these events. Does he have an untreated mental illness that warrants significant intervention and an increased level of care, which might include some degree of institutionalization?
Loibl's home life is spinning out of control. He drops out of college and continues to struggle.
He attempted to go to college. He was fairly intelligent with mathematics and the sciences.
Loibl had no other reason to have goals in his life. He enrolled in college, but then failed, dropped out. He wasn't close to his family. His mother had passed away.
His father remarried. He did not like his stepmother. He got into fights with her. He had a dysfunctional family life and grew up to be a loner, and he had these obsessions.
Loibl is slipping further and further into darkness, the darkness of his bedroom and the darkness of his escalating isolation. He spends hours and hours online, tracking singer Christina Grimmie.
The best hypothesis that I can have for Loibl's dysfunction would be a serious mental illness like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, or some sort of delusional disorder. There's obviously a major break with reality of some sort going on with him. He's pursuing and having a fantasized relationship with a rising star whom he's never had a relationship with. To live in the mind of somebody with a thought disorder is to hear voices oftentimes, to have beliefs that are strange and different that you don't question, such as that you really do have a relationship already with this person, that you're somebody more important than who you actually are. We call a delusion of grandeur. It might be that you're listening to a song that she's singing and know that there's a special message just for you in special verses of that song. This is the experience of the seriously mentally ill.
Loibl was so isolated and he was so disconnected from everyone that when he filled that empty space with Christina, it gave purpose and meaning to his life.
He pretty much watched anything that involved her. He'd be going home after work and it would be watching her.
All these mediums are conveying to those that are following, that are tracking, that you have a relationship with the person that you're following. And thus, there's always going to be a group of people that have that missing piece in their life. They're going to see it as more than what it actually is.
When we have strong interpersonal relationships with others, that keeps us grounded. Loibl didn't have that, so his inner world was allowed to go unchecked. He had no reality testing. He had no one there to say no.
While Christina is unaware of the dangers of life in the public eye, those around her are made nervous by her vulnerable position.
Her mother warned her, though, when she realized what she was doing. You better get off the internet before some creepy guy starts to track you down.
The internet, it's such a Pandora's box. You know, it can be a career maker. So that gets you the fans, it gets you the accolades, it might get you the career, but it's also going to bring you the attention of these people who have really unhealthy attachments.
In the very disturbed mind, the idea of having your name permanently attached to your victim's name is sufficient to satisfy that need for the bond.
This particular stalker, we would actually call him a silent stalker because in essence, he never made his presence known to Miss Grimmie at all until it was too late.
By 2010, YouTube is emerging as the go-to spot for everyday people to achieve major fame and fans. The video site is eclipsing traditional media for millennials and turning creators into household names.
We're still trying to understand the YouTube fame phenomenon. At some point, the popularity of that person making the video goes ballistic. And we're still trying to figure out exactly what it is about these videos that turn somebody doing something in their bedroom into a global star.
And there's Selena Gomez right there.
Oh my gosh, hi.
Self-created social media sensation Christina Grimmie is on an upward trajectory, which puts her more and more in the public eye.
Christina Grimmie is one of the most successful YouTube personalities ever. As dedicated as her following was on YouTube, The Voice just served to kick that up to an entirely other level.
The whole point and promise of a show like The Voice is that if you do well, this is a springboard to something more.
Okay, number one.
Christina's friendly demeanor and engaging personality is now on display nationwide.
She was very popular with the judges. All 4 of them wanted her on their team, and understandably so, because she just blew up the stage. I mean, the girl had a wailing voice, just killed the rock songs that she did.
It was just a pretty surreal feeling to watch her make it to that level after she'd just been singing for fun, posting these videos in her room.
In the aftermath of her third-place finish on The Voice, Christina signs with Island Records, but she can't bask in her success for long.
She records a couple of albums. She ends up being dropped by Island Records, but she was doing very well because, again, she's a YouTube star. She doesn't need the traditional cultural gatekeepers to keep her career alive. So coming close to winning, in the case of Christina Grimmie, was enough to get her out on the road playing in front of people that she would have otherwise never had a chance to play in front of.
Christina is busy navigating the ups and downs of a life in the entertainment business. Unbeknownst to her, a young Florida man's dangerous, sad obsession with her grows and grows.
He lived in a world of his own, and he knew that she was a streamer. That's how he got involved with her, because he watched her over and over and over again.
After the death of his mother and amid family chaos, Loibl continues to barricade himself in his room. In his mind, the two are perfect for each other, if she only knew he existed.
There are a number of examples of the isolated man who is spending hours by himself playing video games or immersed in social media, preferring fantasy to the real world. And there's plenty of examples of those kinds of offenders who are in that kind of fantasy trajectory towards becoming violent.
He had these odd obsessions. At first it was World of Warcraft, and then soon grew into being Christina Grimmie.
The fact that Grimmie was known to be into video games and that Loibl himself is obsessed with video games would cause him to believe that there's a destiny that they're to be together.
Loibl didn't have delusions like other seriously mentally ill people do. He had obsessions, this loosening of the boundaries of reality, but more of an obsessive quality to them. He didn't literally think Christina was his girlfriend, but what he had was an obsession with her and a goal to get her as a girlfriend.
After pining away in secret, Loibl decides to share his love for Christina and his plans for a future with her. At his job, working at a big box electronics store, he reports to colleagues that he and Christina are in touch, playing online games together. He is also spotted watching her YouTube videos at work.
So you did try to talk to him about this being an unrealistic thing? And what was his reactions to when you said that?
If you're not going to be supportive of me, then I just can't be your friend. And then he would threaten our friendship.
That interaction he had with the one friend probably just taught him to keep it even more secret. So he was used to that. That was what was comfortable to him. But that makes it very frustrating because now we don't know what he was thinking.
The fact that he consulted his one and only friend and did not receive favorable feedback about his obsession with Grimmie would predict further isolation and a decision not to share it with anybody else. He doesn't think anybody's gonna understand, and thus it's gonna stay inside, and he's gonna spend more energy in his pursuit.
Despite negative reactions from those around him, a defiant Loibl continues his quest to establish a real relationship with Christina.
Loibl had this elaborate plan, it appears, to impress Christina Grimmie. He got hair plugs, got his teeth whitened, lost weight. And those are all behaviors associated with a perceived courtship ritual of sorts. He's doing these things, and yet there's no approaches, there's no sending of pictures to try to say, hey, you know, do you have any interest?
He had the LASIK, the hair, losing the weight because he wanted to become a professional streamer.
Yeah, wisdom teeth removal and teeth whitening.
Okay. But you said he wanted to be a professional streamer?
Yes.
Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
It's basically, it's kind of like what Christina was doing.
Had he started doing that already, do you know?
No, he told me he was getting ready to build this monster computer.
He was hoping that she would become enamored with him just as much as he was enamored with her.
Loibl had no other reason to have goals in his life. He enrolled in college, but then failed, dropped out. He wasn't close to his family. His mother had passed away, but Christina gave him motivation to be better, to do more. And I think that's what fueled his motivation to change his appearance so dramatically, because his goal was to get Christina as his girlfriend, and she wasn't going to tolerate somebody that didn't look their best.
Not only is Loibl making changes to his appearance, but it seems that watching Christina's videos is causing him to reevaluate his feelings on religion.
He always talked about how he was atheist, and he was impressed, you know, that she was Christian, and she changed him, like she helped him see the world in a different way. If there is a God, he sees it in her.
He felt, how do I make contact with this person? Because as far as I can tell, Kevin never sent an email, sent a letter, sent a photograph, or did anything else to contact Christina.
Loibl has a delusional, idealized view of Christina. But that perception is shattered when photos of her and another man appear online.
One of his co-workers came up to him and showed him a photograph of Christina with her producer and said, Kevin, you don't have a chance.
And even though Christina Grimmie said there really wasn't anything going on, the picture appeared and TMZ did a piece on it. Now this angered Kevin, and he decided he needed to do something about it. He needed to teach her a lesson.
It's his ultimate screw you. You know, you're not going to get to know anything more about me than what I did. And it's his way of having the last word.
June 2016, YouTube sensation and pop singer Christina Grimmie is on the road, touring with a band Before You Exit.
Christina had actually been working on her next full-length album before she started on tour. She'd been recording, writing, she'd been doing a ton of work.
Christina is preparing for her show as the opening act at Plaza Live in Orlando, Florida.
Every time she would play a show, she knew the drill. She had to go and speak with her fans. That's what brought her to that level, being accessible. Who would sign the autographs, who would take the pictures and then the selfies. And people loved her for it.
Hey guys, what's up? We're in Orlando today. Please come to the show if you live near Orlando, Florida. We are at the Plaza Live. Please come out. Bye.
She enjoyed having these fans. She was very down to earth, but she didn't know that she was also inviting Kevin Loibl.
He decided that He was gonna go to Orlando and meet her somehow. But his friend said he was angry, he was upset, he was no longer happy when he talks about Christina.
Looking back, it was May 25th when Loibl buys his first gun, a Glock 26. Just a week later, he buys yet another gun, a Glock 19 at a different store, which he adds to his arsenal. But did Loibl actually go public with his deadly plan? Months from now, rumors will emerge that Loibl announced his sinister intentions via an under-the-radar Twitter account. Speculation will surface that in fact Kevin Loibl was behind this foreboding post that announced Christina's death while she was still alive. If true, was this a missed opportunity to keep the young singer safe? We'll never know.
There's a type of stalker that believes that if he can't get the relationship back or even get that relationship started, he's going to eliminate anybody else having a relationship with that person. This particular stalker, we would actually call him a silent stalker because in essence, he never made his presence known to Miss Grimmie at all until it was too late.
I don't know when the coin was termed the fine line between love and hate, but we now know through brain research that it really is a fine line. It's actually the same part of the brain that controls both emotions. And when you think about it, they're not polar opposites. They have a lot of things in common. One of the things that love and hate have in common is that they're both incredibly passionate, and they're both irrational.
On June 9, 2016, Loibl takes a cab from his home in St. Petersburg to Orlando. After traveling 108 miles in a taxi, he checks into a hotel for the night and heads out shopping the next day.
According to the people in the motel room, he never pulled the covers back and slept inside the bed. But he also carried with him a mask to cover his eyes to keep the light out. Prior to going into the venue where Christina was going to perform, he walked into a clothing store and stayed there for several minutes walking through the store. Then he ended up buying a camo baseball hat.
He had a flyer for cemetery services in his pocket, and he had his wallet. And off he went to see Christina at Plaza Live.
Christina is ready for another great show, along with headliners Before You Exit. What she doesn't know is that a fan, a delusional fan, is in attendance.
This is going to be a statement from Marcus Grimmie. It's Grimmie.
Very routine for us. She announces she has a meet and greet at the merch table. We'll go there. I run the merch for her as well. I'm her tour manager. And then she meets after the whole show's over.
As the concert comes to a close, Loibl moves into position.
He was loitering in the area of the lobby. He was in line, not saying anything. He stood out and people noticed him. If I was at a Christina Grimmie concert, I would be scanning for the older guy by himself with his hands in his pocket, standing alone, versus the 18 or 19-year-old kids in groups giggling and laughing and waiting in line. Those people are no threats. The guy standing all by himself and someone noticed him and pointed that out, that would be the guy I'd be really concerned about.
He knew that after the concert, she would be out front, that she would be greeting her fans. And he thought that this was the perfect time and this was the perfect place.
She was signing t-shirts. Her brother Marcus was standing next to her, and he walked up, didn't say a word.
She came out and was standing there waiting to greet her fans. She loved this.
Marcus, did you hear any statements the guy made?
He didn't say a word. He didn't even make a weird face. It was just some guy walks up. I just hear a shot, and I'm looking at more shots. It just happened.
Marcus jumped on top of him and tried to knock him down.
Just throws me off like it's nothing. And I'm on the ground, I look up. and he pulled the trigger and killed himself.
Never said a word to Christina at all.
She went to give her stalker a hug. She went to embrace him, and that's when he shot her.
No threats, no warning. He just walked up to her and shot her in the head.
Did your sister talk about or say anything about any fans that might have been overly aggressive on the internet or any problems like that? No. Had she ever had any problems with fans or like, for lack of a better term, like stalker types?
Honestly, off the top of my head, no. There's nothing been any danger though. I mean, sometimes there's some weird, weird fans, but never anywhere we had to get a restraining order or we had to.
Nothing that ever caused you concern.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's very possible Marcus saved other lives because he could have just started shooting and we would have had a massacre.
There is absolutely no warning. There's no letters, there's no emails, there's no contact with this person. He just shows up and strikes. And that's why he's the most dangerous stalker.
June 10th, 2016, Orlando, Florida. Christina Grimmie, a rising pop star, is fighting for her life on the ground of the Plaza Live Theater. She has been brutally attacked, shot 4 times by a delusional young man, claiming to be a fan.
I was sitting in my room. Her and I had actually been on FaceTime about an hour before it happened.
The most tragic part about that story is what it means to her family. I can't even imagine, because when you're being stalked, the impact it has not only on you but your loved ones is so intense.
I want emergency response recorded. Hello, we are at the Plaza Live on Bundy Avenue. We've just had multiple shootings inside the venue.
Christina got shot. Christina Grimmie. Okay, is she awake?
No, negative.
Efforts are made on site to save Christina. She is rushed to Orlando Regional Medical Center, suffering a gunshot wound to the head and 3 to the torso. Christina is pronounced dead at 10:59 p.m. She dies just 35 minutes after Kevin Loibl shot her point blank.
It seems like that he was so afraid of the shame and embarrassment of her rejecting him that he almost knew he had to kill her in order for them to be together.
It was a lot of confusion at first, especially not being there, not being able to contact anyone that was there. It was very difficult to try to figure out what was actually going on. That was a very long night, and I remember a lot of it very vividly, unfortunately. I kind of wish I didn't. Hearing that she'd passed away was probably the hardest news I've ever had to receive.
When you heard the news that Christina Grimmie had been murdered in Orlando, what was your initial thought?
I got all shaky and anxious, because I actually thought, oh no, how is he going to react when he gets here?
He had a mission, and he completed his mission. He killed her, and he killed himself, sadly.
Her brother Marcus standing there watching his sister being killed, his mother going through the loss of her daughter who she was so close to. This is just a horrible human tragedy.
Reaction begins to pour in as details of Christina's brutal killing makes headlines.
At this time, authorities are unsure who he was. Details are few and far between, and right now, we don't know why he did this.
The music community is stunned. Celebrities share their grief, along with their legions of fans, family, and friends. Adam Levine, her mentor on The Voice, pays for her funeral.
The great tragedy of Christina Grimmie's story is that she was only just starting out. She had such potential and such appeal that it's very sad to contemplate what might have been, and the future was looking very bright indeed for her. And to have it cut short so early and so violently, it's unspeakably tragic.
It's really hard to think that somebody would abuse the kindness and everything she'd offered to her fans just to keep that barrier as small as possible, that someone would abuse it out of hate. Because she was just such a great, loving person. I just don't understand how anybody could even think to do that. I personally don't think there's ever a chance to really get over something like this. It's something you learn to live with.
One of the things we want to know about Kevin is why. Those are things we ask ourselves over and over again, and I'm sure everybody involved in this case, from the detective to Grimmie's family, they all want to know why this happened. So we have to look deeper into Kevin's background.
In the aftermath of Christina's death, there are more questions than answers. What could possibly have provoked this heinous violence? And how did Kevin Loibl slip through the cracks? Unfortunately, there's no way to know what he was thinking.
Now, when he went to Orlando, he knew he was going to commit suicide. Because when he left, he took the hard drive out of his computer and destroyed it. And this was his whole life, his computer. His plan was murder-suicide. His plan was to go down in history with Christina as the man who killed her.
In hindsight, a lot of weird things and a lot of sad things. And
like what?
He told me, he's like, "I love you, brother," and he grabbed my shoulder. He's told me he's tired. He's ready to ascend.
Loibl's destruction of his computer reflects his awareness that what he was doing was wrong, but it also reflects a knowledge that there was a lot of information there that could help understand people like him, the nature of his obsessions. It's also his ultimate, screw you. You're not going to get to know anything more about me than what I did. And it's his way of having the last word. The fact that he wiped his hard drive and he thinks he's getting the last word and, it's his ultimate statement of power and control, we still know that he's unstable and dysfunctional. It doesn't take away from that. He may think he's getting the last word, but he really hasn't.
Christina's tragic death may go towards helping others realize the potentially deadly consequences of social media.
Christina Grimmie's case is a reminder that there's always going to be bad people, and there's no amount of monitoring yourself online that's going to prevent that. If someone really wants to get to you, they're going to get to you. But what it does tell me is that we absolutely need to look out for each other more.
It's a unique format, YouTube. It's very personal. You're inviting people into your home and into your bedroom. You're sharing yourself, much more so than you would on a television talent show. It's more intimate than television, and therefore the fandom is that much more passionate.
The taking of the life of their victim becomes a way of permanently possessing that victim. They achieve the attachment that they're not able to in a healthy way. It's part of their fantasy that they are now going to be forever intertwined with this victim's destiny.
Whenever I think about Christina, the first thing that pops into my head is just all the fun memories I have with her, rather it be when we got to see each other or just long distance, funny conversations we've had, things we've done. There are just always, of course, certain memories that stick out in your mind more so than others, and I'll just always remember them.
And my heart goes out to her parents, because I have daughters, and there's no way I would want this to happen to them. You have a beautiful person who's taken off this planet by another troubled individual that we couldn't stop, and that always frustrates me. No end. There's no way I would want this happening to my family.
In the case of Christina Grimmie, it was a soft target of one person. But it could have just as well been all the people that had gathered around her getting autographs and taking selfies. It's not as safe as it used to be going to a concert. Now we're having to look over our shoulders because we don't know what's going to happen. There are people that wish us harm.